Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
A friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. We have an amazing week of incredible books to talk about with some absolutely huge key issues, as well as a phenomenal guest in the way of the legendary Geoff Johns. So stay tuned after this incredible opening so we can get into the interview. Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you. All right, and today we're going to be talking on comics that are FOCing Monday, March 24th, 2025. I swear I'm on it today. We are filming awkwardly out of Canada with Kyle on vacation. We have the incredible Jay on production. So give us a shout, Jay.
How's everyone going? We're using something new today, so if anything looks weird, you can blame me.
But it's going to be a fun one because not only are there some incredible comics that are FOCing this Monday, March 24th, but we have a very special guest to talk about one of those incredible comics that is going to be on Final Order Cutoff. We have the incomparable man behind Ghost Machine, Geoff Johns.
Hey man,
how's it going, Jeff?
Great to see you as always. I've only known you for what? How many years now? Decades now?
20, somewhere around like 20, 23, 25.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love that intro. That was a cool intro. I like how you explained FOC. Very concise.
Well, it's one of those things that it is a big moment, I think, for everyone in the comic industry. Not only the consumer, who is guaranteeing they're going to get the comics that they want by letting everyone know by FOC, but as you know firsthand, it is an important date for retailers, publishers, and distributors to make sure that we all get everyone the comics they want.
Yeah, it's challenging too. I mean, I don't know how you guys actually do it because there are so many books, so many covers now. It's really tough to kind of cut through just the sheer numbers and volume of books that you have to put on the stands. So
yeah, it's a
that's
weird
all.
one. Yeah, I mean, I remember the early days of FOC existing, and it was a notably smaller portion of my time.
Yeah.
And now I'm sure every retailer out there spends hours adjusting and tweaking their final order cutoff orders, all throughout the weekend.
Yeah, really tough.
But that being said, there is one book on FOC this week that stands miles beyond the rest. And clearly it is the new My Little Pony. No, amongst an absolute series of titles, ultimate titles, and all these big things driving in, I think Ghost Machine over the past year has been doing a phenomenal job driving people into comic shops. And you have created an incredible universe, as well as an entire, not just the universe, a publishing line with this.
Thanks. It's all comes down to the people that are part of Ghost Machine, and like Brian and Gary and Peter and everyone that's a part of Ghost Machine. And we set out to do quality, not quantity, but quality books, and create something different out there with new characters. And I'm really proud of what we've done, and I'm really excited to keep working on the stuff we're doing. It's super fun. It's the most fun I've had in a long, long time in comic books.
All right. So before we narrow it down to the books on FOC this week, or even the unnamed universe, let's talk about Ghost Machine as a whole. So what is Ghost Machine? What have you created with your fellow comic creators here?
Sure. So Ghost Machine is a collective of myself and writers and artists like Brad Meltzer and Peter Tomasi, Francis Manipool, Jason Fabach, Peter Schneeberg, Gary Frank, Brian Hitch, Ivan Reese, Brad Anderson, Rob Lee. Like there's just the top of class creators. We all came together to create and operate and own the company as a united group of artists. And we've got great people that work at the company too, and also own the company and operate it, like Mike Cotton, our head of publishing, and Brian Cunningham, our editor-in-chief, and a group of other talented folks. But we set out to create new characters, ongoing series, not superheroes, but genre titles. And we have 4 universes. And the first one you named, the Unnamed, is a group of action genre heroes with their stories told across the history of America. Redcoat takes place, from 1776 to the time of Geiger. And Geiger takes place 25 years from now after a nuclear war. We have a science fiction universe with Rook Exodus by Jason Fabach. It's a beautiful book. A horror universe with Hyde Street by Ivan Reese, and then Family Odysseys universe that are stories focused around families and heart heroic humor. That's the Rockefellers by Peter Tomasi and Francis Manipool, and Hornsby and Halo by Tomasi and Peter Schneeberg. Great books. Hornsby and Halo is my favorite book in the market right now.
I love all the Tomasi books.
Yeah.
But one of the first ones was obviously Geiger, and Geiger started before Ghost Machine was Ghost Machine.
It did.
When you first started putting together Geiger, did you have any idea that you were going to form Ghost Machine out of this?
No. Gary Frank and I were wrapping up Doomsday Clock. This is probably late 18 or early 19. And we were wrapping up Doomsday Clock. And I said, Gary, what do you want to do next? We had talked about doing like Batman Earth 1, another volume of that with the Joker and some other things and other superhero books. And Gary said, I don't want to draw superheroes. And I was like, okay. And we started talking about what we might do. And I've been talking to Eric Stevenson for years about doing some in Image, and we had an opportunity. So we came up with Geiger, which is about a man who, in a post-nuclear war world, protects the fallout shelter that his family's trapped in all day from scavengers. And the story kind of goes from there. It's in the vein of like Mad Max and John Wick, I think, and with a lot of radiation. We call it an atomic Western. But we did Geiger, and when we did it at Image, we had a great time. Eric Stevenson was awesome. The whole team at Image was great. And we had so much fun. We started talking about, well, do we want to go do things for DC or Marvel, or do we want to continue this? And we did. And as we were doing that, I was talking to Brian Hitch about doing Redcoat. It was gonna be a mini series at the time, and we started talking about these stories, and then we had conversations with Brad Meltzer and Jason Fabach, and everyone was ready to do something new, and also we wanted to, with all our experience, we wanted to do it ourselves. We wanted to control the paper quality. We wanted to control the schedule. We wanted to control what we were going to do. And we wanted to do ongoing books that it would be up to us when they would end, up to us how long they would go. And we had stories to tell. We just wanted to do stories that we wanted to do and do them for as long as we wanted to. You know, when I was on Green Lantern, there was like almost a 10-year run on Green Lantern. And I don't think those things happen anymore unless you're doing creator-owned books. And I love long-form storytelling. It's the best. Monthly books are the best. And so we just all came together. And over the course of a couple of years, we started to secretly work on Rook Exodus and Hyde Street and more Geiger and all. Junkyard Joe came out, and we were starting to talk about what Ghost Machine could be. And we also were like, we didn't want to shove all the comic books together and cross them over. We're like, they started to organically become these 4 universes of genre, of kind of superhero adjacent with the unnamed, science fiction with Rook, or with the Hyde Street books, and then Family Odysseys with Pete's books. They just organically became these 4 corners of Ghost Machine's reality. And we were all about quality. We were all about, like, you know, quality first. And even though the paper is more expensive, the cardstock covers are more expensive, I love how I can take my books out and they stay clean. They stay in good condition because I'm a collector too. But we focused on character and story and the best art there is in comics. And I'm really beyond proud of what the team has done. Like, this is the best time I've ever had. And it's the best people, because I think when you first get into something, you just want to work on something you love. And then it turns into, I want to work on something I love with people I love. And that's what this is. And it's fun because we all own it together. We all own Redcoat. We all own Geiger. We all share that. And so the success for one book is a success for everybody in the company. And I love that.
Well, I think the love shows in just the quality of this. I mean, these books look like nothing else on stands. Like, you know, when I look back at like big DC events that you did, that's the only way I can compare every single issue of what's coming out from Ghost Machine. Like, it is the big event. And this is just one of many things.
Yeah, well, it's. I mean, look, they're drawn by the best artists in the business, and Rob Lee's the best letterer in the business. Like, we have the best of the best. Brad's the best colors in the business. We have the best, you know, artistic teams and editorial teams and design teams. Steve Blackwell designs all our books. Like, we have the best, you know, people in publishing. Danny Ward and Mike Cotton and Brian Cunningham. We have the best. We just have the best people, and we just do. And it's the best people on all levels, on the talent front and on the quality of who they are as human beings. So it comes out in the books. But we're dedicated to these books. And it's fun to be almost a year in April. Geiger 12 just came out, and that was really cool. Like, between Geiger, the first 6-issue miniseries, the Ground Zero thing, and 12, we've got 20 issues of Geiger out now. And it's really fun to know, like, when Brian and I are talking about Redcoat, we talk about issue 25 and issue 50 and issue 75 and issue 100. Like, we know how the series is going to end. We know the series is going to go a long, long time. And that to me is really exciting, is that we can, you know, I want to invest as a reader myself. I want to invest in characters, and that's what we believe in. We believe in characters. We believe in, like, this right here that Gary Frank do, which is going to keep expanding out more and more and more. And that's our goal, is to just create wonderful characters that people love.
Well, and that's the exciting thing. Having reread everything for this interview, I am catching stuff that I had absolutely missed when I was initially reading these books month to month, that you are setting up a new character in Redcoat number 11. And I realized I was seeing him referenced in Junkyard Joe before Ghost Machine was Ghost Machine. I was seeing him in the Ghost Machine number 1 shot over a year ago.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about what we have coming up in Redcoat 11 and how you have been clearly seeding the introduction of this character for years?
Yeah. So the Northerner is a character that he actually goes all the way back to Geiger 6. Yeah. And original Geiger 6 and Junkyard Joe 6, but he's a character that kind of ties together the entire unnamed universe. And I don't want to spoil everything too much yet because the book does such a great job, but he's going to be a character that's very important to not only Redcoat, but also Geiger and the other characters in the unnamed we haven't introduced yet. Some we have, like Junkyard Joe, and some we haven't, that are coming up on that timeline that I love, that we've had since Geiger 6. We've had that timeline out there, and that was back then was really when it started to form as the unnamed, the world, the unnamed. And to me, I saw them as, I always loved those characters like Paul Bunyan and his ox, and John Henry, and these mythic Pecos Bill, these mythic kind of American legends. And these are the ones that you never heard of. These are the unnamed. These are the ones like Redcoat and the Northerner and Geiger are these unnamed American mythic legends that exist and existed. And we're telling their stories. And the Northerner is a key component to that. Like if, it's Redcoat and Geiger are the first two legs of the stool, and Northerner is the third leg. And we'll see their interactions, where Simon's like, Simon only worries about himself. Simon is all about, the immediate. Simon has no responsibility. Northerner is the opposite in every single way. He cares about everybody. He takes things super seriously, and he has incredible responsibility on his shoulders. And they're a great duo to contrast against one another. There's a reason Northerner is appearing first in Redcoat, because that personality clash is just fun to write. It's fun to see. But the Northerner's first real appearance and who he is, you get a real sense of him is in issue 11, Redcoat 11, that FOC's Monday. He's much like Ashley Arden that we introduced in Geiger. He's a pretty major character in this series and beyond for Ghost Machine.
Well, and you mentioned Geiger. You gave us the pitch on how he is defending his family in a post-Fallout apocalypse. So if for any reason you have not, as a consumer, read Redcoat yet, Geoff, can you give us the pitch on who Simon Pure is and what is the story of Redcoat? Sure. Simon Pure is the person that's least worthy to be immortal, and he's a kind of a middle of the road, average, snarky Redcoat soldier from the American Revolution that abandoned the Battle of Trenton and accidentally becomes immortal through mysterious ritual by the founding fathers. The immortality was supposed to go to Benjamin Franklin, and it ended up Simon inadvertently gets it. And so we tell his stories across the tapestry of American history. The first arc is in the 1890s, where he teams up with a 13-year-old Albert Einstein and Benedict Arnold, who is another one of the immortals, the founding fathers that's gained immortality. And then we have subsequent issues where he encounters a serial killer family called the Bloody Benders in the 1800s, and then Johnny Appleseed, who I always loved the character Johnny Appleseed. He's such a cool character. And then Annie Oakley in issue 10, and now the Northerner. So he interacts with, in issue 11, he interacts with both historical and fictional characters, and they make up his world. But it's all about how long does it take for someone to become a better person? Because Simon's really not that great of a human being. He's had a rough go of it. We get to know him. He's very funny. The book got so funny. Brian and I never expected the book to be as whimsical and funny as it is. But it's just, Simon is just this, he just can't help but talk. And he talks to me all the time. And so he's very fun to listen to. But the book explores like this, how long it takes this guy to change. And it takes a long, long time, and why he changes and why he, becomes a better person. And then also has a great mythology to this mysterious supernatural, the supernatural magical origins of the founding fathers like George Washington and John Hancock, who stole, we learned that they stole their mysticism from the Native Americans and have wielded it in their own ways. And so there's a whole mythology of magic underneath the history of America that Simon is a part of and is trying to understand the entire time, and other figures that are connected to it or that want it or want to exploit it. But his adventures take place from 1776, where he first becomes immortal during the Revolution, all the way through to Geiger's time. And
And it's a really fun book to write, because it can go anywhere, and we can deal with something really heavy and dark like the Bloody Benders. Because imagine back in the day, there's a family that had an inn, and travelers would go there and they'd kill them and take their stuff, and no one would ever know where they are. They just disappear, these travelers. We can deal with like kind of the dark underbelly of what could happen in America, and then things that are more fun like Johnny Appleseed and what he actually did for America. And then with the Northerner, it takes place during the Civil War, and Simon's role in the Civil War is very Simon. It's very, I'm not on either side. I'm just trying to profit. And the Northerner comes in and says, no, I need your help to do something. And that something is making sure that that forces don't help the South win the war. And so that's what this story is about when the Northerner comes in. But he's a great character. He's great for Simon. But that's what Redcoat's about. It's one of my favorite books to write, to have ever written. It's one of those rare characters. Simon just talks to you. Like when I open up my laptop and I'm starting to work on Redcoat, he just won't shut up. So he's very verbose in the book, but I think that's fun. I'm always trying to kind of like watch how many captions there are, but he just won't shut up. It's Simon's fault.
Well, on that note, I mean, you talk about the great lore of this book. I mean, starting from 1776, the foundation of America, and going into our future. This book has more whimsical historical references than the National Treasure movies, and in a far greater way. Did you have a great knowledge of American history going into this comic, or is this something you developed because of Redcoat?
Both. So the books I'm working on now, like Hyde Street, I love Twilight Zone. I love Universal Monsters. I love all aspects of horror. I've just never ever written anything about it. I love history. I love American history, and I love history and historical figures. So for me, this was a chance to dive into something I love, but I've never really utilized in comic books, because superheroes just usually it was utilizing DC mythology or Marvel mythology. And with this, I look at American history as American mythology. That is Redcoat's mythology, and it just has different twists to it. And so I love American history. It taps into a lot of things I already know about, but also I do a lot of research. I did a lot of research on every story I'm doing research on, whether it's about Albert Einstein or, General Sherman and Hood in the Civil War, any kind of aspect, Annie Oakley, I'm actually related to, any kind of, I know it's crazy. She's like way up my family tree. Annie Oakley's up there. But there's every aspect of history that I can dive into. And that's what I love. I love that I get to explore things that I've always had a passion for, but haven't been able to, just because I haven't worked on anything that's really tied into it like this, haven't really dived into it as much as I could have. And that's what Redcoat allows me to do. Yep. But it makes it fun too. I want to do the fun version of American history. Like there's heavy things, and really the stakes are high, and there's light and dark in it, but really look at it through the lens of joy and wonder, and progress. Like, because it takes a long time for things to get better, and sometimes they get worse before they get better. And that's really what Simon is. Simon kind of represents that, that journey himself.
Yeah. And I mean, I love, as somebody with a master's degree in history, I love that you're still surprising me with history I didn't know. Obviously, in the first Redcoat, you have a reference to two major political deaths that happened on the same day on July 4th that I was unaware these two people died within hours of each other. And then you gave an incredible alternate take on it. So there's real history mixed with the fantasy of the comics in there. And that is something really, really cool that you can bring to light with this.
Thanks. Yeah, it's all rooted in that. And one of the things I'll say too about each one of these titles, like with Redcoat, Brian Hitch, the book wouldn't exist if Brian and I weren't doing this together, because it's pure me and Brian. Like the tone of it is Brian and I's relationship. Like there's some reason, I don't know why, whenever Brian and I get together, I'm laughing a lot, and because he's super funny. But we always just, I think, really enjoy life, enjoy each other, enjoy friends, enjoy company. And Redcoat just it's an amalgam of both of us. It's like this great kind of mixing of what we love, and it got funny and it got fun and it got warm because of that relationship. That's what I love about these books too. It's not like I'm just working with an artist and we're doing a book and that's it. These books have been generated and grow out of relationships, creative relationships. And then you put Brad Anderson on top of it and Rob Lee on top of it. And it's a gorgeous book. It's just unreal. I don't know how Brad colors all those double page spreads that Brian's drawing of all these like war battles. And there's some Civil War spreads in issue 11 that are mind blowing. There's one great one where like there's this huge war happening in 11 and you see this small little figure in a red jacket running away because he never stays in fights.
Well, on that note, for those who have not yet had the chance to grab Redcoat, you can go to your local comic shop and grab the trade paperback for the first storyline right now, as well as hopefully getting the second trade paperback and catching up on issues if your local comic shop has it, or when the second trade paperback FOC shortly. But the big one we got to talk about, as you mentioned, first full appearance of the Northerner in issue number 11. What is the thing that is going to drive everyone to grab this issue, even if it's their first issue of Redcoat, to make sure they place their orders in time to grab issue number 11 of Redcoat?
I mean, the first 12 pages introduce this character in such a, I think, wonderful way, where you just hit the ground running with this mysterious figure who appears in 1764 with two Colts, two modern day guns, and there's a lot more to his story as he tries to utilize things from today. What's that?
1864.
Oh, sorry, 1864. Yeah, 1864. And he tried.
I'm really excited that he was a lot older than that.
Yeah, no. that he shows up and he's in the middle of the Civil War and he's trying to stop some forces that are out there to help the South win.
Awesome. So we're gonna get a true Civil War story for Simon in this.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and it's cool because he's like, look, they wear blue, they wear gray. I'm staying in red. Like I don't want any part of it.
That's awesome. All right. Now, the Northerner obviously makes this big drop here. We've been waiting for it for ages with little hints here and there. Can we get a hint? We have Geiger, and Simon, two of the three legs of this stool that you mentioned that have their ongoing. Is there a possibility the Northerner will get an ongoing series? I'll
just say you got to keep reading the books. And the Northerner, his first appearance may be in Redcoat 11. And this story arc runs through, this initial one runs through Redcoat 13, but you'll be seeing a lot of the Northerner very soon.
So definitely the issue of the Unnamed Universe to buy.
This is a really important issue, but more importantly, it's a really damn good issue too. If you haven't read Redcoat, this issue will introduce you to everything you need.
Awesome. And before we let you go, there's another thing on FOC that you have this week. As you mentioned, you're falling in love with horror, and you have a phenomenal series in the way of Hyde Street. Clearly it's doing well because you have second printings of issue 3 and issue 4 on FOC this week. How are you feeling about the reception to Hyde Street?
Great. Issue 4 introduced this character called the Matinee Monster, and he's the third. Hyde Street is this place where if you take a parking ticket off your car and put it on someone else's, or you murder somebody, if you do something bad, and it can be small or big, you might turn the corner and end up on Hyde Street. And on Hyde Street are these beings called the residents, and the residents are there to essentially pull you apart like an insect and destroy you and deliver your soul to the mysterious scorekeeper who's built this place. And the residents, we've so far introduced Mr. X-Ray and Pranky, and who's a Boy Scout from 1955. Mr. X-Ray is a advertising executive from 1966. And in issue 4 introduced the Matinee Monster, who is an actor from 1949 who was typecast as a Frankenstein's monster. And that book did really well and sold out. And then subsequently, when that sold out, issue 3 sold out. And so we're going back to press with these two great new covers. They're brand new covers we haven't done yet. I love that cover by Francis Portela. And it's the first full appearance and origin of the Matinee Monster, who's a key character in the Hyde Street. And if you love Universal Monsters, if you love Twilight Zone, if you love Black Mirror, if you love any kind of horror, Hyde Street is a avenue that takes you to every type of horror there is. There's a reason we have from monsters to, aerobics instructors from 1983. Like Hyde Street's got all your greatest fears. That's a really fun book too. And like Ivan Reese, we did Blackest Night and scratched the surface with horror with that. And this gives us a whole other avenue to do that. But the reason Hyde Street 4, I think, sold out, I'm really proud of the issue. It's a really strong story. If you haven't read Hyde Street yet, pick up issue 4, read the Matinee Monster story, and then go back and get 1, 2, and 3. I think there's really something special we're doing here. And again, like Redcoat, like Geiger, it's an ongoing series. It's really important for us to do that.
One of the things I really love is that this is like going back to Marvel in the 1960s or DC in the 1940s. Not only are you creating just great storytelling with all of this, you're creating a universe. Every issue has first appearances and key issues and collectible items that, who knows, 10 or 20 years from now could be those big 5-figure books of, this is the first time the Northerner appeared. This is the first time, we had this character or that character. So
yeah, it's fun to be on the ground floor of a brand new universe, or sets of universes, because there's new stuff all the time. And it is unpredictable, which I love. Like, it's fun to buy these first appearances. It's fun to read about these characters and get to know these characters. The biggest, most important thing is when we introduce someone like the Matinee Monster or the Glowing Woman or the Northerner, that we are spending the time for the readers to really get to know who these characters are and give them a reason to fall in love with these characters. Like I used to love, when I was working at DC, there were so many minor characters that felt like they just needed the right story to become relatable and become interesting. And that's what it's so fun, building something from the ground up like this between the Unnamed and Hyde Street.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. So, and then obviously, with Geiger, that recent first appearance of the Glowing Woman has been a huge, huge demand that everyone's been talking about.
Yeah,
but
she's cool.
I know we have to let you go momentarily. Before we do, for everyone who is discovering Ghost Machine and falling in love with this, where can they find more of you and Ghost Machine online? Social media?
Ghost Machine, sure. Ghost Machine Pro is our handle, but ghostmachinepro.com, Ghost Machine Pro on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. You'll find us through Ghost Machine Pro. The trades of Geiger volumes 1 and 2 are out. Collect the first bunch of stories. A collection of Junkyard Joe is out. Redcoat just came out. Rook Exodus is coming out soon. That'll be followed by the Rocket Fellows and Hornsby and Halo, but all our books will be out there. And we've got some really great stories coming up and are already produced. So anyone who hasn't checked it out, please give it a look.
And you guys are planning on keeping all of this in print, I imagine. So
yes.
Even if your local comic shop is sold out, they should be able to order these trades?
Yep, absolutely. And there's a couple deluxe hardcovers out too as well for Geiger and Junkyard Joe that are beautiful books. But yeah, go to your shop, go to your bookstore, and check them out.
Yeah, tell them Geoff Johns sent you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Geoff.
Thank you.
We hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, you too.
All right, guys. A lot of incredible books on FOC this Monday, March 24th. So huge thanks to Geoff for joining us and pointing out some key ones. Now, we're going to dive in at previewsworld.com/final orders due, our classic FOC website, to talk about some of the other Image comics and other items on FOC. As a reminder to everyone, we want you to get your orders into your local comic shop as soon as possible each week, so you can guarantee that you're going to get the books that you want, the covers that you desire, and that they can get those orders in to make sure when they arrive, they're set aside waiting for you. Now, there's 2 websites we use to check out all of the comics on FOC each week. Previews World is a great one for Image, Marvel, a lot of the indie publishers, Boom, etc. But if you want to check out DC, Mad Cave, and others, you want to go to lunardistribution.com. Now, Previews World is where we're going to start, and we're going to look over some of the incredible Image comics that are on FOC this Monday, March 24th. And as always, there's all of these incredible books to check out, so please take a look at both websites and view everything. But we're going to cover some of the hot new #1s, the key issues, and hot covers. Now, Image has a lot continuing on with things like Assorted Crisis Event, Dennis Camp's awesome new series is getting a lot of attention, things like Deadly Tales of Gunslinger Spawn. But the first one that I want to focus on is the end of a story arc. It's G.I. Joe #6. G.I. Joe's big Energon Universe debut started with Joshua Williamson giving us the Duke and Cobra Commander miniseries. And we have been waiting since those moments for these two to clash. And we finally are going to get it at the end of the opening G.I. Joe story arc. A lot of great covers. We have stunning artwork. And then, of course, it's the brilliant Joshua Williamson writing it. Everything about this should grab your attention. If you are not digging the Energon universe, you need to swing by your local comic shop and reach out for all of those awesome Skybound books. Continuing on, we, of course, have those beautiful Hyde Street second printings that Jeff was just talking about if you need to catch up on those. And then for the Todd McFarlane fans out there, King Spawn is about to get big. Al Simmons, our Spawn from issue number 1 in the 90s onward, has been fighting for years to protect humanity. And he's finally realizing after several decades, it's not going the way he wanted. So in King Spawn 44, we're going to have a very thought-provoking story of Al questioning what was he doing wrong and how can he do better. I think that's an exciting thing, as always, you know, when we get to see our heroes try and figure out how they can change the actions they've been going down for, in many cases, decades. Then if you want something completely different and out there, we have a new miniseries, Moonshine Bigfoot. This is about as Southern as you can imagine a superhero story getting, as you have a giant Bigfoot in the most, what is the name of that classic Dukes of Hazzard style universe with superheroes, supervillains, Illuminati-esque, you know, G.I. Joe cabals and more. Like, this could not be more out there. Jay, I mean, what is your take on something as insane as Moonshine Bigfoot?
It feels like Bigfoot is having a big resurgence. I have a buddy, Dan Price, who, along with his partner Casey Allen, has a book. It's a Kickstarter indie book called Bigfoot Knows Karate. And just reading that, I'm like, you know what? I want to see what everybody can do with Bigfoot. And now seeing this has me interested, because, I mean, fast cars and a moonshine drinking Bigfoot, I mean, what's not to love there?
I mean, then you get the cut-off denim pants. That's it, you know.
The Daisy Dukes.
Yep, I love it. Chris Ryle, Syzygy Publishing over at Image, you know, bringing this one to us. I think this is going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be nice and goofy. All right. Obviously, the big book, you know, of the week. We just talked with Geoff Johns, Redcoat number 11. As he pointed on, it's a perfect jumping on point. It's going to introduce a character who is integral to the Unnamed universe. Whether you're a Geiger fan, a Junkyard Joe fan, or a Simon Pure fan, this is going to be an important character and an issue you're not going to want to miss. Then on top of that, I mean, who doesn't want to see the incredible artwork of Brian Hitch setting up the Civil War? That just sounds like it is going to be every page a full movie. Speaking of big universes from Image, the other big universe is Rogue Sun. Supermassive. Sorry. Supermassive includes all of those incredible, you know, characters from Radiant Black, Dead Lucky, and others. Rogue Sun just hit its 25th issue a week ago. We're getting a second printing because it sold out so quickly. And issue 26 is bringing another key figure of the Supermassive verse. Kyle Higgins, Radiant Black, is going to team up with Ryan Perot's Rogue Sun in New Orleans. You know, I'm loving that Image has multiple superhero universes, or multiple universes, I guess we should say now, within their various publishing lines. So this is exciting to see that we get to go right from Redcoat into Rogue Sun and Radiant Black. If you're wondering why I rolled past the Incredible Ghost Machine Rockefellers, now and then Previews World is going to have issues, as everything is going on with Diamond right now. And you're going to see things that are shown on the FOC page for Previews World, but are not necessarily on FOC this Monday. They're getting a little ahead because of date changes. That is the case of Rockefellers, and another that we're going to be talking about momentarily called Stay Out of the Woods. But I had to show off Stay Out of the Woods because me and Jay both love Joe Pruitt. Then you got Butch Geis on artwork. But as Jay pointed out before the show, this has the best pitch line imaginable. It's Tom Sawyer's meets Pan's Labyrinth, as a group of 3 kids must face their fears in a Southern-style forest. I mean, Jay, tell me you're not all in for this.
Look, after reading not only some of the stuff that he's written, but some of the stuff that he's been an editor for, like some stuff for Aftershock, this guy knows horror, and this looks like, if you're a horror fan, this is definitely going to be a must grab. This thing looks awesome. Is that, I can't tell from the picture, but is this maybe one of those oversized or magazine formatted?
You're right. It is. This is going to be a standalone one-shot, and for $7.99, you're going to get a full, thick Prestige Plus format book. So it will be that magazine size.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This looks exciting. Joe Pruitt is one of those names, like another person we're going to be talking about a little bit later, that when I see his name on something, I'm already interested.
Yeah. Now, as always, it is best to get your orders to your local comic shop as soon as possible. So even though this isn't technically on final order cutoff this Monday, it is going to be a June 2nd. They got really ahead on this one. A June 2nd FOC. It will release June 25th, and your local comic shop is not going to complain about having an order in advance for such an awesome horror piece. Another one that we're looking at advance on, but it is FOCing this week. There is a hardcover collecting the first year of Transformers from Daniel Warren Johnson and Jorge Corona. Beautiful foil hardcover, which makes me wonder, often when they do these really cool editions to, hardcovers or trade paperbacks or comics, you don't get to see that high quality thing like a foil, cover on reprints. This is probably going to be a limited edition deluxe. And the cool thing we're showing off here is the direct market edition. So obviously you're getting a key Decepticon on the direct market. But if you need your, hero with Optimus Prime, the mass market edition will get you that. One way or another, beautiful foil hardcover collecting 12 issues of Transformers. And I don't know that if this will even see a reprint, it will be as beautifully foiled out. So definitely something to let your local comic shop know if you want to get it, and particularly if you want that comic shop direct market exclusive cover. Always fun. Wrapping up Image, we have Witchblade number 10, wrapping up that Darkness Witchblade crossover. Marguerite Bennett, once again reinvigorated the Witchblade universe by bringing Sarah Pazzini back, and now she's got Jackie Estacado, the Darkness, back. I have to show off that beautiful Tula Lotay cover because it is just stunning. In decades of incredible Witchblade covers from top artists like Michael Turner, Kucha, we've had Mike Choi, Mark Silvestri, you name it. This is one of those top covers for me with Witchblade. So lots of fun comics coming out from Image. You don't want to miss out. Check everything out at previewsworld.com/final orders due or at Lunar Distribution. Images at both. Let's move on really quickly to Boom, who's now a Penguin Random House publisher. Boom is continuing on where you can order it through Diamond or Penguin Random House if you're a retailer who's in charge of placing orders. If you're a consumer, you just let your local comic shop know. They know how to get you the books you want. We have the continuing series of Grimm, Jim Henson Presents, but the one I want to talk about is Mouse Guard. As we are about to get we just recently, as of this week, have the new Mouse Guard series. They're going back to print with the original Mouse Guard in a facsimile edition that will even have the traditional format of Mouse Guard. For the 20th anniversary of David Peterson's infamous collection of cute little rodents fighting fantasy scenarios, Mouse Guard is back, and you can have that issue number 1 like you would have bought it on the stands back in the early 2000s. Super cool way to own it. I mean, I personally don't own the original Mouse Guard like that. I have a hardcover, so I am excited to have a facsimile of the first issue. Maybe I can meet David Peterson, get some magic cards and Mouse Guard signed. So $5, can't complain, and it's a great book for all ages. With that said, That was Boom. Before we dive into the big books at Marvel, let's take a quick commercial break and we'll return to some awesome additional comic series that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, March 24th.
Order Battle Quest comics at your local comic shop today. Sure, comic books are beautiful, but underneath, there's something more authentic and exciting. The original art. See the pencils, the lines, the shading, as if you were there in the studio watching the artist work. Getting a peek at comics' backstage is easy with the original art experience.
All right, Friday night, guys. Thank you for being here. To be doing anything, the fact that you're here means the world to me.
Nick's pieces are always value priced with your budget in mind, for the beginning collector to the veteran.
And this is gorgeous. You got Aquaman and Mira.
Join the original art experience with Nick and our friendly crew of regulars, even if it's just to enjoy the art. Fridays at 7. It's all part of the experience.
What do you call the place on Spider-Man's wrists where the webs come out? His website. I hate myself for writing that joke, but you'd make me feel so much better if you just visited our website. We have links to our merch, new release lists, all the show info, and so much more. TheEXPLive.com. In a world where you hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, that'd be really great. Thanks.
We're back. All right. We're talking about the incredible comics that are on FOC this Monday, March 24th. We've just went through Image as well as Boom. So now let's dive into the big deep breath for everyone, Marvel. And actually, it's a small FOC week for a lot of these publishers, only in quantity, because in quality, there are some big key issues. We talked about the absolutely amazing ones in Image. Now let's talk about these Marvel ones. Now, another fun thing we had talked about on the difficulty of Final Order Cutoff that many retailers have been facing for decades is that sometimes we have to finalize orders for comics before the previous issue came out. In the case of Marvel right now, Amazing Spider-Man has had issue 69 out, but there's 70 issues in the current arc, and then they're going to relaunch with the new number 1. We haven't had issue 70 or the new number 1 out, but we now have to finalize our orders for number 2. which is all the more important why you guys who know you want to grab your newest tales featuring Peter Parker in Amazing Spider-Man need to let your comic shop know, hey, I definitely want to keep on with my Amazing Spider-Man. I'm going to need that issue number 2, because that is where you often see in the history of comics the biggest trouble of getting a book is issue 2 and 3, where retailers had to finalize their orders before we knew how number 1 was going to sell. Now, that being said, Amazing Spider-Man looks like it is going to be great, as it is Joe Kelly taking over this relaunch. There's some beautiful covers on this, and it looks like some crazy changes for some of the Spider-Man villains, as Spidey's going up against not only Rhino, but gaining the ally of Norman Osborn again. Obviously some fun here. And I mean, Joe Kelly writing Spider-Man, it's an easy add to your subscription list, your pull box, your pull list, whatever you get your comics on at your local comic shop. Now, here's a big one. Fantastic Four. Obviously, we are having the year of Fantastic Four. Brand new movie. Everyone's excited. Dr. Doom's running the big event for the summer. What's not to love about Fantastic Four? So let's get some more. New series in the way of Fantastic Four Fanfare is written by a collective team of creators and artists, and each one will focus on a different member of the Fantastic family and give us a bit of an anthology story. This opening issue is going to have writing by Mark Waid, artwork by Alan Davis, Sarah Pacelli. You're getting Andrew Wheeler stories, and it's going to be a little bit of fun focusing on our hot-headed hero, the Human Torch. I mean, Fantastic Four fan, Jay?
I will admit I'm a bit of a novice when it comes to the comics. I've read like the Hickman run. What I remember most about Fantastic Four, though, is being a kid and watching the cartoon with that banging theme song.
Oh,
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
But I've always been a fan of the movies. I've even watched the Roger Corman one on YouTube. Just, it's terrible, but it's there. I'm actually really excited to see what they're going to do with this new one. Like that month of July is just going to be huge for comic book fans.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited because I love what Ryan North is currently doing, the main Fantastic Four title, but it sometimes is not the easiest thing to hand to a customer. This, I think, will be an exciting way that comic shops can hand this book out to everyone. If you've loved the Fantastic Four or never read them, this seems like an easy entry point. But you mentioned the incredible Jonathan Hickman Fantastic Four run, right, Jay?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know they're about to re-release that in trade paperback at the ridiculously low price of $15 a trade?
Okay, folks, we hammer this point home all the time. But I am telling you, if you've never read Fantastic Four, go to your LCS and let them know you want a copy of this. For $15, you honestly can't beat that. And it's been a while since I've read it. I just remember it was fantastic, pun intended.
It honestly is one of my favorite Fantastic Four storylines. I know that sounds so horrible because it's easy to go like Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, like Inhumans, Galactus, all of that. But Jonathan Hickman's run was phenomenal. This literally was one of my favorite runs of Fantastic Four ever. It's a little bit heavier than what we're going to get with Fantastic Four Fanfare, where this will be an easy entry point. But as long as you know who the Fantastic Four are, and let's face it, we all know that family went up into space, got battered with cosmic rays, and came back with invisibility, stretchiness, some stony skin, and a little bit of a hot head, once again, to make that joke. Once you know that, you can dive in to Fantastic Four Solve Everything by Jonathan Hickman and Dale Eaglesham. Beautiful, beautiful storyline, incredible tales to be told. And I mean, it is classic sci-fi adventures. And I think Jonathan Hickman, if for anyone who's read, his X-Men, his Ultimates, you know that Jonathan Hickman knows how to write science. So awesome way. And $15 for 18 issues, I want to say. 18 issues, $15. You're paying less than $1 an issue. Got to do it. All right. As you can see, a lot of great Marvel titles on FOC this week, including great trade paperbacks. So make sure you go to previewsworld.com/finalordersdue to look over all of them. Check out all these amazing covers, and I mean amazing covers. But the next one I want to talk about is one of my favorite new titles. And I know Magic is definitely one of my favorites, but it's New Champions I want to talk about because this new superhero team has been introducing new character after new character. And now we get the origin of another new character, Gold Tiger. If you are a fan of Black Panther and all the Wakandans and you want a new superhero that isn't just Shuri and T'Challa, this is going to be it. I love this superhero team. I think every issue of New Champions has been great, and I don't think anywhere near enough people are reading this book. This is a great for all ages comic, and it's just fun. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about with Jeff. You're at the start of something big and new. Every issue is a key issue, and you're just getting great storytelling. Once again, beautiful covers. Pablo Villalobos' amazing cover there with one of our new magicians that first appeared in Scarlet Witch. But Rian Gonzalez also giving us a Gold Tiger cover makes it just even more beautiful. But again, lots of Marvel books. One World Under Doom, the big summer event continuing on with its third issue. If you didn't get to your local comic shop this week and get issue number 2, you need to do that because it's good. But the next one I got to talk about, oddly enough, is a trade paperback to an older book from roughly 2 decades ago. And that is Spider-Man, The Legend of Spider-Clan. Now, if you have a friend who doesn't read comics because they're a manga fanatic, they like their anime, and they just don't see how it's all still sequential art, this is the book to drag them into the Marvel universe. Part of Marvel's attempt at doing manga and getting manga fans 20 years ago is finally getting collected, the Marvel Mangaverse. And the crazy thing is, when this started, it was easy to lapse over some of these creators you had never heard of. People that, clearly haven't blown up since, like Scotty Young, Carrie Andrews, or Chester Cebulski, a.k.a. editor-in-chief of Marvel, C.B. Cebulski, doing these brilliant tales. For just $25, you are going to get all of those classic Mangaverse Spider-Man stories. And remember, this Spider-Man is part of the Spider-Verse now. But you're going to get stories with Carrie Andrews and Scotty Young. These are huge names in comics, but they were not then. No one has these books. They are impossible to find in back issue bins. They're surprisingly not the triple figure values I believe they deserve to be, but it means tracking them down when you can find them. They're worth grabbing. The trade paperback, a must have for any Spider fan who wants a different Spider-Verse character version.
Does Scotty have a story in this one, or is it just his art?
I don't believe he wrote any in there, but I know he drew some. Not only covers but interiors.
Okay, because I just wanted to point it out real quick about Scotty Young. I know he's known for his art, but y'all, Scotty is also a fantastic writer. If you've never read any of Scotty's work, like I Hate Fairyland, or I think East of West, I always get this book.
No,
confused.
East of West would be Hickman, I believe.
Okay, there's one of his that has West in there somewhere. I can never remember what it
Middle
is.
West.
Middle West. There you go. Thank you. Scotty is a fantastic writer on top of being an artist. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Oh, no, I would 100% agree with you, Jay. My favorite Magneto story ever was penned by Scotty Young. He didn't draw it. He wrote it. And, it is haunting. It is one of the darkest Magneto stories you'll ever read. But Scotty Young, brilliant writer, brilliant artist, brilliant comic creator. So another reason you need to grab this incredible trade paperback, Spider-Man, Legend of the Spider-Clan. Hopefully we'll get more. It's funny because me and Kyle last week were making jokes about the Mangaverse. I totally forgot this trade was on FOC this week. So it was a nice one. Maybe we'll get to see the rest of the Mangaverse recollected thanks to this.
And it's strange how it feels like Spider-Man, if you were going to start a Mangaverse, Spider-Man just feels like the perfect character to put into that, to start out with. There's something about Spider-Man that he fits in that kind of universe.
Exactly. Now, speaking of universes, let's go into a galaxy far, far away as we get a brand new Star Wars #1. This is, I believe, the 4th Star Wars #1 that we're going to get. No, that doesn't sound right. Maybe it's the 3rd Star Wars #1 that we're going to get from Marvel post 2015. But one way or another, the exciting thing about this is the first time we're getting newly canonized stories post Return of the Jedi that are not jumping all the way to Rey, Poe Dameron, and Finn in the sequel trilogy. Alex Segura is taking over with right after his epic run of the Battle of Jakku, which ties our classic Skywalker saga into the sequel trilogy. And he is going to give us new tales post Return of the Jedi in an ongoing series. I am really excited to see where this goes because honestly, I don't know. How do we get from Return of the Jedi to The Force Awakens? This will be the comics that give us those actions. And it could mean that we get crossovers with the TV series that are currently in that same era, like Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and more. I'm rather excited. I don't know, I don't know how I'm going to handle Alex's writing on this, but one way or another, with Phil Noto doing the interior artwork, it's going to be beautiful. I'm certain of that. There's a lot of great covers. One of them even made it into our top 10 that we'll have to talk about. Personally, the Power of the Force action figure box is going to get my attention because I probably have 20 copies of that exact same action figure, but I don't have a single comic cover of it. But a lot of fun to be had, even foil covers by the incomparable Ken Lashley. So Star Wars relaunching new tales. This will overwrite the classic extended universe of comics that I remember coming out 30 plus years ago from Dark Horse. All right. Let's see what else. Yeah, a lot of wonderful continuing series. You can check them all out at previousworld.com/finalordersdue, including the final issue of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which will lead, of course, directly into that wonderful Disney Plus series I hope all of you are watching or are about to start. Let's move into indie books, though, after that great talk with Marvel. And we have a couple really, really fun ones to go over. As always, you can see all these at previousworld.com/finalordersdue. We have the wonderful continuation of Conan. Always a big Conan fan. I don't know if you are, Jay, but Titan has been kicking butt with Conan. And now Titan has officially announced they're moving over to Lunar distribution. So you have the option of Diamond or Lunar if you're a retailer ordering. One way or another, it means you as a consumer are going to continue with uninterrupted ability to get the Barbarian of Hyboria. Did I screw that up?
You know what, man? It's okay because I can never honestly remember what it is. All I know is the Titan books have been phenomenal. Like, I was one of those, I was a huge fan of the movie. Like, when I was a kid, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, loved the movie. The comics are definitely a lot more brutal than the movie was. So if you're just into just badass barbarians, like Conan from Titan is definitely the one to go with.
Absolutely. Jim Zub has been kicking butt every single issue and then drinking from the skulls of his enemies with these amazing stories. But if you want another thing that is a haunting skull one, well, first, before I get into that, I have to bring up the sincerest form of parody. For you fans of Mad Magazine or EC, particularly with this great revival of EC, this is reprinting some of the earliest Mad Magazine comics from EC era. You have a stunning, stunning cover right there, and reprints from every major creator, you know, Jack Davis, William Ovegard, Jack Kirby, even Dick Ayers, Bill Everett. I mean, this is an all-star list of golden and early Silver Age comic creators reprinting classic Mad Magazine stories that you could not afford to purchase these days for a $30 hardcover. $30. It's insane. So huge shout out to Fantagraphics. They do some amazing books, but some of their reprints just it is jaw-dropping to see these things and the quality they put into it. So I am excited on this one. But I started up a conversation of skulls and horror, so let's go to it. American Mythology is got a brand new series giving us Pat Shan's Legend of La Rosa Blanca. I am really excited. This was originally, I believe, a Kickstarted book by Pat Shan, but now we can get it in our comic shop at a very nice and affordable price. You get classic Mexican horror mythos, that wonderful sugar skull design that is so popular these days. I am excited about La Rosa Blanca. There's also a beautiful higher end cover with a bit of a higher price tag at $20, but only $250 by the incredible Lyrics Lee. It's, an exciting book. I am really excited, but that's definitely the type of one you want to go to your local comic shop, because not every comic shop is going to stock this on the shelf. You got to ask for it. Next up, Allred fans, the most Allred book imaginable. It's Madman. We're getting a Madmaniverse library edition style trade paperback that is going to be a super compendium with over 680 pages of crazy Madman content. I'm a big fan. I'm excited about this, and this is probably the most affordable collection I've seen this size, because I've spent triple figures on oversized hardcovers on Madman in the past. Now this is an approach, as everyone's getting into compendiums. I think one of the highest selling compendiums right now is Invincible, thanks to the most recent season of the Amazon TV series. If you're buying, you're spending $50 to $60 on an Invincible or Walking Dead compendium, you can totally drop $50 for an amazing bit of goofy superheroism with Madman. Then, speaking of big collections, Peanuts, Snoopy and the Red Baron, once again, Titan Comics. So now you have the option of Lunar or Diamond if you're ordering. But Snoopy and the Red Baron by Charles Soule is going to be a facsimile collection of the 1966 book with our classic flying beagle. As we just celebrated, I want to say the 75th anniversary of the Peanuts. I think that's what just got celebrated. This is a cool one to have in mind. And a $10 trade paperback like that, you can't go wrong. I mean, everyone loves the Peanuts, right, Jay?
Even being born in the 80s, this is so nostalgic, because I remember growing up with Peanuts and Snoopy flying on his doghouse. I mean, come on, that takes you right back to childhood.
Indeed. I mean, and that's the thing I love is every generation, my young son loves the Peanuts, and then my parents love the Peanuts. I mean, almost, it's got to be 75 years. I'm gonna confirm that right now. But that was going back. I mean, is it really 75 years? That's a weird thing to think about. But it started in 1950. That was 75 years ago. That is a crazy thought. Who knows? Another fun one. I did make the My Little Pony joke earlier, so I have to show it off. You have the incredible Stephanie Williams is doing a My Little Pony one-shot Tournament of Mysteries. And yes, it is Stephanie Williams, like Nubia and the Amazon, Stephanie Williams, taking a swing at the My Little Ponies. So if you are a pony fan, definitely the issue to grab.
And it's the new generation of the ponies.
Oh, yes. That's valid. As we talked about 80s fun earlier. A lot of great books also continuing on. Mine is A Long Lonesome Grave is one of my favorite horrors right now. It's basically the Appalachian John Constantine. Ton of manga on order. Penthouse #2, once again, we're FOCing issue 2 before issue #1 comes out. But Penthouse Comics has been going for at least a year before. So while it's renumbered with a new #1 this year, I'm excited. You get a lot of great mature comics with a ton of beautiful covers to choose from there. And it's not the type of thing that every comic shop is going to stock because of its content. So if you want it, you want to reach out to your local comic shop and get your orders in. Now, Star Wars fans, I always talked about Star Wars #1. This is a big, big day for Star Wars. Another incredible #1 is going to be a one-shot set in the High Republic. It is the Battle of Eridu. And if you are keeping up with the High Republic, this is a major point for the Phase 3 era, as we are getting Alyssa Wong taking over on this. Alyssa has been, Alyssa actually has a character in this universe named after her, Crash Wong. Alyssa's nickname is Crash, which led to a character, Crash, being named after her. But I'm really excited because this is a big battle on a key point. The planet of Eridu is a focal point for the battle of the evil Nihil that are reigning terror on the galaxy 300 years before the Battle of Yavin. Well, meanwhile, the Republic is doing everything it can to try and retake the galaxy for peace and order, light and life with the Jedi. So this should be an awesome standalone epic battle. High Republic, Battle of Eridu, nice one shot. $6 for a big, thick one shot, you can't complain. But if you want a different take, say you don't want 300 years before Battle of Yavin, and you don't even need the Skywalker saga of the original trilogy. You want to jump into the future even further than Alex Segura is going to bring you? The new Star Wars Hyperspace Stories is going to do just that. Ethan Sachs, who is brilliant at doing a lot of these all-ages Star Wars stories. Ethan has done the, I want to say did the Galactic Star Cruiser Halcyon storyline, and possibly he might have done some of the Edge of the Galaxy stuff. But Ethan is a brilliant writer and a brilliant family man. And he is going to be giving us Poe Dameron's tale with BB-8. Because that was the biggest flaw of the sequel trilogy. Not enough Poe Dameron and BB-8. So we're going to get a brand new story showing these heroes in new tales. Stunning Sean Gordon Murphy cover that I want to show off right there. But there's a couple different covers you can grab. I am all for more Poe Dameron stories. Greatest pilot in the Rebellion. Or the New Republic, I guess I should say. The New Republic.
So if we could stop right there on that line. Those Not Afraid by Kyle Starks, y'all. Kyle Starks, 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton. Pretty much my favorite Peacemaker I've ever read. He is one that he took. If you love the Peacemaker show, you got to read Peacemaker Tries Hard. And then later on, we're getting an Eagly vigilante book that's going to be kind of based off the show.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks away before that comes out.
Yeah, but it looks amazing. This book right here, though, I was lucky enough to read issue 1 for in stores this week a while back. Now, if you haven't heard of this book, first of all, again, it's Kyle Starks. You got to just pick up anything he does. This book is about these serial killers in a city. There's 2 of them in the same city. Now, 30 years prior, there was a serial killer who was never caught, and he racked up a big body count. These serial killers, present day, end up meeting each other, and they decide, let's have a friendly competition to see who can break the record. Nobody calls the cops on each other. We don't go after each other. Let's see who could break this record first. Now, we meet one of the killers pretty early in that first issue. We don't know who the second one is till the very end, and the way it's revealed is incredible. If you're a horror fan, again, this is one to check out. It's very cat and mouse right now. So if y'all haven't checked this one out from Dark Horse, Those Not Afraid by Kyle Starks, you got to. It's very, very good.
Yeah. You should still be able to track down the first few issues at your local comic shop or give them an order, as they are still in stock and available. But final issue on FOC this Monday, not something you want to miss out, because with a pitch like that, Jay, that has me needing to go track it down. Like, I love Kyle Starks. I remember him back in the day doing things like Rick and Morty. His recent Pine and Merrimack was one of my favorite Boom Studio books last year.
Yes.
But now I got to go track down Those Not Afraid.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So those are some of the indie books. Let's pop on over to lunardistribution.com. When you go there, you'll be introduced to a website like this. You'll just scroll on down to upcoming FOC. Make sure you're on the right date. March 24th is this Monday with FOC. and we can see all of the DC books, Mad Cave, and even some of the other ones that were crossing over with Previous World as Lunar gets more and more comic publishers in their distribution service. So the first one we got to talk about is Absolute Flash. Absolute Flash #1 just came out this week. Jay, you gave it a read, right?
Oh, goodness. This whole Absolute universe, I'm so excited for these next two now. The first set, amazing. All three of those books are just amazing. I read this one last night, though. And I'm not going to get into any kind of spoilery territory, but I'm going to tell you this. I've never seen Captain Cold look so awesome. His character design in this book, to me, when you first see him, it's a big, big page of him and the rest of his little team behind him. I've never seen him look so cool. And that, yes, again, pun definitely intended for Captain Cold, but he really looks good.
Yeah, Nick Robles is doing an incredible job on artwork. Jeff Lemire, I hate to say, there was two Absolute books I didn't think I wanted to read. I didn't think I wanted to read Absolute Flash. I didn't think I wanted to read Absolute Green Lantern. In both cases, when I read them, jaw dropped by the last pages. I was hooked. And that's the thing I love about the Absolute universe. With the exception of Absolute Superman, which I do still love, every single one of these Absolute titles, within the first issue, you are 100% all in. DC labeled it right with all in. You get hooked. And Absolute Flash #1, if you haven't grabbed #1, go to your local comic shop right after this show. Grab the #1. You will be hooked, and you will absolutely be demanding your local comic shop make sure you have a #2 set aside for you. And this issue somehow even better than #1. Oh yeah. Although I gotta say, I love Wally's outfit. A lot of great covers to choose from. Make sure you go to Lunar Distribution and see all these amazing covers and let your local comic shop know which one you want. For you Batman Hush fans, I want to point out next Wednesday, so just a few days away from now, we're going to have the start of Hush 2 in Batman 158. It is going to be one of the biggest books of the year. And that's saying something because we have the Absolute universe, the Ultimate universe, Invincible's coming back with Battle Beast. Even Bad Idea is promoting some ridiculously large numbers with their Planet Death that we haven't even FOC'd yet. But Batman 158 is going to be epic. And I can say this because I remember 20 plus years ago when Batman first had Hush in Batman 608. Now, the cool reason I bring that up is they've been reprinting facsimiles of the Batman Hush storyline, which you can get in traditional and foil. But then on top of that, they're re-releasing the Absolute Edition, that big oversized hardcover with a slipcase for $100. And you're going to get all sorts of additional content like interviews, commentaries, sketchbooks. I'm going to have to see if this is actually a simple reprint of the Absolute Edition that I already have of Hush, or if it has new content, because I might end up with 2 copies of the Batman Hush Absolute Edition. One way or another, beautiful new Jim Lee cover on this version of the Absolute Edition. And a great way to have a supreme collectible edition of the book to reread before you dive into Hush 2. So a lot of exciting DC books. Another one I got to talk about, Mad Cave's Buried Long, Long Ago. Now, you know a little bit about this artist, right, Jay?
Yeah, I was introduced to Alex Cormack through a little indie publisher called Comics Tribe. And if you haven't checked out Comics Tribe, for one thing, check them out. But I'm trying to remember some of the books that you might recognize. He's worked on a lot of Dark Horse books. He's a usual teammate of Rich Duick, the writer. It's one of those, man, I had everything in my head, and then right when I got asked the question, I forgot them all. But just from the artwork alone on this book and seeing Alex's name on here, I know the art in this book is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, the cover alone that Alex put out is just stunning. And for those who don't know, this is based on the story of Belle Gunness. Belle Gunness is a real-life Norwegian-American woman who, in the turn of the century, was a serial murderer. The classic idea of the wife who, kills the husband. Belle Gunness was known for bringing men in and murdering them and getting away with it for ages. So she is quite the legendary, serial killer in American history, and a dark part of that as well. But this comic is going to take an interesting twist and add a bit of a paranormal, or as it says, fairy tale retelling of the brutal crimes, giving it from the perspective of Gunness's 3 children. And kind of Stray Dogs-esque with historical twists. But I think this will be an interesting one. It definitely has the trappings that have me hooked. So beautiful Colleen Duran B cover there. And Mad Cave has been nailing series after series. So I have high faith that this could be a really good one. As always, there's a lot of books on FOC each week, a lot of brilliant covers. DC is becoming quite the cover company. So make sure you go to Lunar Distribution to take a look at all of those. You'll even see certain things that you might not have seen elsewhere, such as Mad Cave, other additional image information, or pug books, like the new Deadpool #1. Jay and I were just talking about our love for Deadpool, and this reprints the classic Deadpool #1 of the ongoing series. And I hate to admit, I always thought it was Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness, but apparently it says Joe Casey and Ed McGuinness. I didn't realize that. Maybe it is wrong. I'm starting to question now if that's correct or not.
My whole reality's just been shaken.
Yeah, is it? You know what? I mean, so you're a big Deadpool fan. Let's talk about that classic 1997 Deadpool, and I'm going to look up and see who wrote that Deadpool #1 from 1997 to see if we can correct that.
Deadpool's a character that I loved when I first read him, and through the years, through everybody's little hints that they put in, the writers put in their different quirks and stuff. He still remains one of my favorite characters. Like I was to be like a hipster here. I like Deadpool before Deadpool was cool. But I'm really excited for anything Deadpool, honestly. And Bronze Age Nerd is saying it's Joe Kelly.
Yeah, it is. I just looked it up, and in fact, I got a text message, I think, also from one of our viewers that it is Joe Kelly. Yeah, it is Joe Kelly. So I love that everyone is on this. I love that you guys contribute and throw that out in the comments or text me directly. It is Joe Kelly, not Joe Casey. But anyway, regardless of that, I will give this to Pug. They may have screwed up the name or the listing on there, whether that was Pug or Lunar. I love Pug's 3D reprints of these things. They come with 3D glasses. They're great for retailers because they offer very, very reasonable terms for retailers choosing to order them. And for fans, it's an affordable way to get these classic issues in a cool new way using the incomparable Anomaly Productions, which is Brian Haberlin's company, to make these classic comics truly pop out. Yeah, so that'll be an exciting one. Do you think you're going to go after a 3D version of Deadpool #1, Jay?
I probably will. I dig the gimmick. I'm all in with the gimmicks.
Oh, and then, on non-gimmicks, classic, brilliant storytelling. Tom Taylor has been nailing every issue of Detective Comics since he took over. If you are not reading this and you are a Batman fan, I have to tell you, you're not a Batman fan enough. You need to go grab Detective Comics. He has been introducing this incredible new storyline with a new villain, Asima, which is just a great twist. You can see Asima right there on that beautiful C cover as well as on the A cover. One of my favorite storylines in Detective Comics, probably since the days of Greg Rucka. So a lot of fun continuing series. Another one I got to point out, the Fabulous Freak Brothers getting a brand new hardcover or reprinting classic issues for $25. And it's going to be a nice quality edition with die cut cover and more. We have so many amazing books on FOC this week. There's all those beautiful G.I. Joe covers. But one that is really catching my eye, aside from those beautiful, once again, second printings of Hyde Street 3 and 4, we got to show off during Jeff's interview, and a perfect chance if you missed out on those. But the one that is catching my eye is New Gods with the Justice League. Ron V and Evan Cagle's New Gods has been spectacular. It is like no other comic book on stands. Visually, it is just, Evan Cagle is blowing my mind with every page. Ron is re-exciting me. Like, this feels like the very first time you read the New Gods back when it was Jack Kirby. Like, this is exciting new territory, even though it's classic characters. So now to drag more people in, we have the Justice League coming in, tying this into everything else that's going on in the DC universe and All In right now. I cannot fathom how awesome this crossover is going to be. But
that's just a phenomenal cover.
Yeah. It's great.
Jeez.
And, Evan Cagle's artwork is so brilliant. I wish he did a cover I could show off on this, but his interiors are stunning. I cannot wait to see how he's going to incorporate it. Like, what insane genre defining new way he's going to break artwork in that issue with the Justice League. Some beautiful covers on Nightwing that I always have to show off. If your store is ordering enough Rogue Sun, that 1 in 25, a classic DC Marvel crossover homage, a bit of Superman and Spider-Man right there with Radiant Black and Rogue Sun. That would be a cool one. But you want to reach out to your local comic shop and see if they order enough to get a 1 in 25 of Rogue Sun and how much they might be charging for that. Each comic shop is different. I'm sure your local comic shop, though, is the best with it. Lots of great ones. Another big one, though, the Summer of Superman special. This is exciting because this is going to be the intro of Dan Slott. Yeah, like Spider-Verse's Dan Slott coming over to DC to do Superman. And you're going to get it with two classic Superman writers. Obviously, the legendary Mark Waid, who has been writing DC Comics for decades, and then Joshua Williamson, who is the current author of the main Superman title. We're going to get all three writers with Jorge Jimenez artwork giving us a great tale. Jorge's artwork is beautiful in this. I love that it opens up with a classic Smallville tale written by Mark Waid. I'm excited to read the Dan Slott story in this to see how Dan Slott's going to handle the Man of Steel. But one way or another, this should be an exciting standalone tale and a great way to dive in if you haven't been reading Joshua Williamson's epic run. And it will hopefully get you all prepared for everything Superman with a new movie this year, a big push. We're going to have a Superman Day this summer. All sorts of fun.
Look, as a Superman fan, Superman is what got me into comics. Being shown Superman 78 when I was about 3 or 4 years old, I've been a Superman fan. I love the fact that it feels like people are starting to be like, you know what? He's not just a boring character. Superman to me has always been, he has all this power, but he uses it for good. He uses it to do the right thing. Every day is Superman Day for me, and I can't wait to get this. I cannot wait.
I love it. That's the thing, is I like that. That's the best part. It is great power and using it for good, something we all could do a bit more and, aim to strive for. We all want to be that Superman. But the thing I love also about this is, even though it's the Summer of Superman, the covers on this, the variant covers, give you the whole family, including some of the villains. There's a Supergirl, Lobo, the whole family of Clark, Lois, and Jonathan on the D cover by Muhammad Azrar. But the one that you got to point out, Chrissy Zullo giving us the best dog in the world, Crypto. I think honestly the most exciting part of the upcoming movie trailer, or the upcoming movie, has been that Crypto scene in the trailer. And Crypto cover by a woman who knows how to draw cute animals. That's going to be a great one. So a lot of fun ones again that you can see over here. Wonder Woman, Youngblood, a lot of great ones. But I want to all of a sudden cut to our top 10 because we've shown off some great books that are on FOC this week. Let's show off our Big Ten picks to wrap up the show. So we're going to start it off with a unique crossover. It's DC x Sonic the Hedgehog. After a big year of Sonic with that awesome third movie from Paramount, we have a crossover with DC Heroes. And I love that for issue number 2, we put the 2 speedsters, Sonic and Flash, on the front and center of it. So really, really great. The subtlety of the emerald that everyone's in the background. This is just exciting. So obvious why it made the top 10. But in spot number 9, when we talk about beautiful covers, Pablo Villalobos' cover of Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a challenge at everything Adam Hughes. This is a stunning cover and shows why Lobos himself is becoming one of the top cover artists in this industry. I think this is amazing. And this is the one, once again, with number 2s FOCing before we even have issue 70, let alone issue number 1 releasing. This is a big one to make sure your comic shop knows you want this cover. Then the Summer of Superman special, that Lozano cover of Supergirl, it has like Bruce Timm vibes to it, but it is just a beautiful, subtle piece of artwork. I had to put that one in there. And then again, I think this one shot is going to be amazing, introducing Dan Slott to the Superman run. Scotty Young. This is, I think, the first time we've had a trade paperback in our top 10. But this one had to be there. Scotty Young cover, Scotty Young interiors, and from an era when people were not paying attention to C.B. Cebulski, Carrie Andrews, and Scotty Young. It was well before they were the big names they are. This is not something to sleep on. This is a great book to read, to pick up an extra copy to give to, your friends, your family, your children. This is just awesome Spider-Man. Modern day top tier creators. This was their early reason, and this is why they would go on to become top tier creators. This is a great book. I mean, you're with me on that one, right, Jay? Solid spot for number 7, hopefully. Jay's mic isn't on. But then we got, there it is.
Yeah, I keep forgetting when we switch to these scenes to put myself back in the room. But yes, I agree with you 100% on that 7 spot.
Awesome. Then, of course, in number 6, as I mentioned, Asima. My old Latin vampiristic terms are escaping me. But Asima, the new Detective Comics villain, getting front and center image on this beautiful Derek Chew cover. I think that is an unquestionable spot number 6 before we dive into the top 5. Now, holding this spot at number 5 is a big one. It's Godzilla vs. America, Los Angeles. And not only is this an exciting book with a great creative team and a solid cover by Gabriel Hardman, but the thing I have to point out that makes this really cool is IDW announced it will donate 100% of the proceeds of this book to benefit the Book Industry Charitable Foundation, BINC. BINC is an amazing charity foundation that helps small comic shops, bookstores, etc., and their employees when they come across hard times. Now, obviously, for those familiar with recent news, Los Angeles just had those troubling wildfires, and it affected a ton of people, including the employees, owners, and stores themselves when it comes to small comic shops and bookstores. So IDW and Toho had a really wonderful announcement stating that Godzilla has long had a connection to Los Angeles, initially as a filming location for the Godzilla King of the Monsters 1956 movie for the localization of the original Godzilla film, and it's home to Toho International and IDW Publishing. So they were happy to do this incredible donation. So all the reason to buy this book, not only great story, great location, and great cover, but when you buy this book, either as a retailer who is stocking it on your shelves or as a reader who is buying it from your shop, the proceeds are going to help out people and businesses in need in Los Angeles. So that was a really, really cool one. Next up, Star Wars. We had to have this, that beautiful, beautiful cover that Galindo did for hyperspace stories is amazing. It reminds me of those classic 90s Dark Horse Star Wars books when you had people like Dave Dorman doing them. Great painted Poe Dameron being shot at, right down the line by that TIE fighter. That's an exciting one. So, of course, it had to be there. Plus, new Poe Dameron BB-8 stories. Next up, 2 Star Wars books in the top 10. We didn't go for all 3, but 2 Star Wars books in the top 10. I have to give David Nakayama a shout out. He is a top tier artist that everyone loves. And this was an interesting look at Luke, Leia, and Han. I'm not going to lie. It took me a second to realize that was Luke. I don't know if that did that for you, Jay.
Yes. When I was first putting this together, I was like, who's that in the front? I thought maybe they had a different character standing in front of Leia, but when you told me it was Luke, I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's a very feminine, version of Luke in this this piece that David did. But in the same, it is a beautiful cover. It has that iconic, design. So I'm excited. I'm definitely going to be grabbing the David Nakayama Star Wars #1. All right, next up, Derek Chu. Hidden some incredible covers. The fact that he got 2 in our top 10 in a single week is pretty shocking. But when you look at the cover, you understand why. G.I. Joe #6, the end of the first story arc of the Energon Universe G.I. Joe. You got Duke and Cobra Commander going head to head. But you know what? The cover with Baroness and
Destro,
thank you. This is why we keep you around, Jay. You saved me on that. Everyone in the comments is like, really, Mathias? You can't remember Destro's name? But yes, Baroness and Destro done by Derek Chu. Absolutely beautiful cover. I think that one is the cover to have for G.I. Joe 6. But we're going to end it on the big one. What is the #1 book and #1 cover to get this week? Redcoat 11. In-Hyuk Lee did a phenomenal job on this. It is such a Game of Thrones-esque cover with Simon Pure, our Redcoat right there, sitting on a throne of guns. And keep in mind, first full appearance of the Northerner in this issue that is, as Jeff hinted, going to be a big character who is sticking around for a while. The part of the trinity of the unnamed universe. So I think
kind of looks like Jamie Lannister sitting there too in the face a little bit.
Oh yeah, you're right. I can see that. Yeah, that is actually great. But I think my favorite part about it is the classic musket, like that Revolutionary War musket with all these very, very modern guns making up the throne behind him. It's a truly Redcoat-esque feel.
Oh yeah, and the best thing about this, if nobody's read it, the irony in the guy's name, because Simon Pure and this dude is anything but.
It's a great line. They should use that in the comic. Almost every issue. But yeah, no, Simon Pure is, as Jay masterfully put it, anything but pure. And you can see it on this cover. But I'm excited to see his interaction with this new character, the Northerner, in the American Civil War. It'll be a very interesting tale, a great jumping on point, a key issue, and then a beautiful cover with that In-Hyuk Lee. There is no going wrong on this. Even if you've never bought a single issue of Redcoat or a single Ghost Machine comic, let this be your first. But hopefully it is your 11th minimum of Redcoat. All right. With that, thank you guys for watching. But this isn't the end. We have some more shows today. Jay, what other shows are on the experience today? Oh, we got to transition you. Mike back on.
Again. Thank you for reminding me. I'm sitting here talking. I'm like, wait a second. So after a little bit of a break, at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, we're going to have Nick with original art. And the original art show is going to be special today because it's going to be kind of a fundraiser for Peter David. Mr. David is having a lot of issues with healthcare and stuff right now. So part of the proceeds from the sales is going to go to that. We also have a GoFundMe link that I'll be posting in the chat over there. And if y'all have watched the art show, the art's kind of a byproduct. We really just show up for Nick to hear his stories. Nick thinks, nobody wants to see me, and that's not true. it's a really fun show. And for Ed out there, I just wanted to say real quick, he did give me some colored pieces of some of the art. That way I can show off what the art looks like. Ed is a member of our awesome EXP family. He can't see black and white. So I just wanted to let him know if he wanted to tune into the art show tonight, we have colored versions of some of the art so you can see. Then after that, I don't know how long that show is anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. So no telling, just depends on what kind of role Nick gets on. But after that at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, we're going to have Friday Night Live with Nancy and the crew from Comics Unlimited. And that's always a party. So be sure you come back and check us out.
Absolutely. But, somebody mentioned there's also a great show on Mondays. What show could that be?
Let's see. I can't remember if we're doing Talking Shop this week. But we're also going to have at 6 Eastern, 5 Central. See, I'm not good with time zones either. Comic Collectibles with Rex, Rock and Robbie, sometimes John. Then we have a couple hour break in between that. And then at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, you can join Bronze Age Nerd, who's in our chat right now, and Bigby McFly for Best Coast Comics.
Awesome. Yeah. And always check out the experience, the EXP, the experience on all of your favorite social media options, including YouTube, so you can watch along. We're back every Friday for Order Up, the FOC show at 10 a.m. Pacific. That's 1 p.m. East Coast. If I got my time zones right, I'm in Mountain Time Zone right now, so I don't even know what time it is. But thank you guys for joining us. Next week, I will be off air because I will be at WonderCon, but I believe Kyle has a special guest who might steal the show away from me if they do a better job. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you soon.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.